Alright, we're going to review the contents of the first Sourcebook for G-Class Republic here, but before we get into that, I would just like to point out something that was stirred up by a comment earlier this morning, and that's kind of just to the notion of what punk is. Now, this game I describe as a J-punk, as in Japanese punk RPG, because it's a mixture of cyberpunk and space opera, themed in such a way that it's supposed to kind of be like a show or a cartoon that might have been produced in Japan, although it's not trying to itself convey anything about Japanese culture, because it's science fiction. And so it's nothing about samurai or shoguns or any of that kind of stuff. But to the issue of whether or not this is a highly polished, professionally made book, obviously not. This is self-published, using what art I could generate myself, just as a visual aid, so people can have, a bit easier time visualizing the concepts and the characters that go on in this game universe. But that's all it is. The thing is you think about how punk music is treated. All the punk bands that have high respect in the punk community have a real underground, raw, poorly produced, recorded in their garage kind of quality, which to some degree or another, the low production values of my books replicates. Big budget, cyberpunk themed role-playing games like Shadowrun or Cyberpunk Red are basically like the Blink 182 or Green Day of punk tabletop role-playing games. They look really good and they're really highly polished, and they might make more money and sell more seats at concerts and stuff, but they're not actually respected much at all by the actual community of people who are into that genre of music. They're punk for normies, but people who listen to the Dead Kennedys or the Sex Pistols, they're not going to be into that. It's fake corporate slop to them. In that spirit, this is an actual underground, recorded in the garage kind of punk role-playing game. And yes, that means that it's got real basic typesetting and just random bits of art. But you don't have the full page margins and the high quality paper and all that other stuff that drives the prices of these books up to a point where the professional companies, even with the ability to lower their printing costs by being able to print in bulk, are still putting out books that brand new are like $60 to $100. Whereas, I could sell this for $30 and not even really be making all that much money on it because of the costs of print on demand. But that's still way cheaper than what you get from anybody who has to have an entire team and has to pay artists and do all that other kind of stuff. This is entirely a one-man operation, so if you can't handle the fact that I am not a professional quality person at 6 or 7 different jobs, well, then I guess just go fuck yourself. But anyway, we're here to talk about the first source book for G-Class Republic, Swimsuit Issues. Now, this is not going to be the normal vibe for source books for G-Class Republic, but I just kind of wanted to put out a little sampler that was summer themed, since this book is premiering here in the summer of 2024. And so what this does is gives you a dozen planets from different areas of the setting. Features at least one NPC per planet of someone the characters can meet, maybe work with or gain an adventure from, or have to work against because they're an antagonist. And adventure scenarios for each planet that in many ways are there to kind of serve as examples of the variety of different kinds of adventures that you can have in the G-Class setting. So here we go. G-Class Republic Swimsuit Issues. We start off, just a real quick introduction. We discuss the planet of Carcade. You've got a smuggler for the network known as the Knights, and the opening mission is basically a little heist to sneak onto a orbiting planet and steal some information. Second world up is Beachhead. Get some conflicts with ogre refugees fleeing warm space. You know, helps introduce some of the greater meta plots of the setting. We move on to Zadfar. We got a vampire story here with Misuko Palna. Basically, she's being hunted by her old gang of vampire hunters who found out that she herself was a vampire because she's a seraphim, and the player characters are basically just some mercenaries who got to protect her during the midst of a plumbing convention that's being held at the hotel that she runs on the planet Zadfar. Jazric. We got a murder mystery where the characters have to hunt down a android maid to find out who the killers really are. So, you know, a little running around the city, fighting some mob hitmen, that kind of stuff going on. Yafiri is a mech scenario where a giant mech is destroying the city. The player characters have to help a mech warrior get to the spaceport so she can get into her mech and try to fight back against it. Lots of random encounters of just trying to get past the area of the city where the mech is currently rampaging. And then potentially a big battle that could end really badly if they don't thread the needle correctly. Then we go to the planet Narma, where we get some political issues going on with an ambassador from the church. This adventure is designed for basically like a lot of random exploration of the city and random encounters and looking for jobs, and then as they go about kind of just figuring out what they want to do with themselves, they'll slowly pick up on this supernatural mystery that's been going on in the background that relates to the ambassador from the church, Denu Icarus. Help out a reporter from G-Class reporting services named Janet Brick. On Orlinthia, you can help out Professor Mubi Hubaba. Rescue some pirates from a sunken submarine who are being harassed by a large kaiju sea turtle. On the planet of Apocalypse Flower, you can uncover a conspiracy to steal some ancient technology out from under the nose of the criminal organization known as the Family, so you can have some, like, you know, crime on crime kind of adventuring going on here. On Big Island, player characters can help take an unexpected ambassador from the Holder Folken around to tour the island, which would be, you know, it's in the player's hands to influence how the Holder Folken will react to the G-Class Republic. Typhoon Sky. We got this scenario is good as a campaign opener for a longer ongoing campaign about its struggle for control of Typhoon Sky as a secret space worm invasion begins, which is occluded by some red herrings about a string of petty street crimes that are being blamed on the ogre refugees, when in reality it's actually space worms that were smuggled there by accident. New Burbia, player characters have to hunt down a musician who's late to get on board her ship after her handlers all quit, and they track her down to a vampire bar controlled by Akuma, which are Kaibio vampires, and they gotta negotiate their way through that to be able to get the young starlet onto her ship so she can go on tour. On Genovese Sea, player characters accidentally stumble across one of the worlds controlled by the church, where once again you have a chance for the player characters to heavily influence how the setting will develop going forward in your campaign by how they interact with the bees that are on Genovese Sea, which the mystics have always been paranoid about the bees finding out about how other humans live, and also how the G-Class might react to, the kind of society that the kind of forced labor, pseudo-slavery that the bees live under. And then we just got a section laying out just some basic stats for minor NPCs that the player characters might encounter in the course of these adventures, so that you as the game master don't necessarily have to make every last little NPC individually. You can whip out these quick stats just for some minor henchmen or whatnot. But you're of course encouraged to design your own specific NPCs. You've got a major villain here, Royal Marshal Tanzeralon from the Holderfolken. And that's it. Swimsuit issues. You can get a copy on Amazon.com or DriveThruRPG. And enjoy real punk role-playing games. Have a good one.
I think the girls with their nails done now. Girls with their nails done. I think the girls with their nails done. Girls with their nails done now. I think the girls with their nails done now.